right, in your notes, week, oh my God, 15, which is next week. So bring it back to me for a second. I want to tell you, guess what? Only 2 lectures left. Yay! Yay! Yes, it's true, it's true, it's true. So next week, though, is Thanksgiving. Crazy, right? Yeah, so at the end of this lecture, I'm going to talk about week 16, and then I'll only have week 17 to do with you lecture-wise, but everything else is out there, okay? All right, so here's what I want to start with some topics just class-related today. So make sure, put it in your notes, because a couple of you have asked me about this late grade points removed, right? So if I late grade something, it's discounted 25%. Is that everything in this class? Does everything get removed 25% if you turn it in late? Yes. There's one, I've lied to you. Sorry. There's one item that isn't. That's messed up. One item that doesn't get a reduced points when you do it late. Chapter quizzes. I know. And it's just because it's a pain for me to do it. But here's what happens on the chapter quizzes when you do them late. Or if you don't do them, I put a 0 in there. So if you complete them, you need to make sure they show up, right? And that's checking your grade is an important part. So a couple of folks have asked me about this spreadsheet, and it's really about if you're doing late grades, or if you're doing late work, you're going to get the points removed except on quizzes. Good job, you caught that. But if you want the points back, remember me talking about, and I've mentioned it a couple times, so here's the spreadsheet, right? So if you want those points back, and you've done something like, in this example, word training 1, here's the proof, you give me a link. Yes or no is a column I fill out. Item submitted late is the item that you've submitted late, and you want the points back on. And then here is the comment I will make, okay? So what you need to do is create this, share it with me, and then tell me that you want me to go in and check it. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, everything's through Gmail. So just share it with, make sure you give me edit, else I won't be able to update it, and I need to be able to update it because this is the way we keep track of it. Okay? So when's the last date? Let's see if you remember. You can ask me to late grade something. So when's the last date you could use this? Yeah, very nice. So make sure that goes in your notes. December 14th, when? Yeah, 12 o'clock or really the next morning, right? I wake up on the 15th. I do all that grading. I do any, and by the way, again, I would not wait, right? Just makes your life a little harder if you're waiting. Any questions about this? No? Okay. So the other thing is I've been offering this alternative hands-on, and some of you have been taking advantage of the alternatives because the coding was just like, okay, I'm done, right? Some of you are like, I'm done with coding, which is okay. But some of you also found that some weeks in Code Academy were easier than others, right? And I saw that in your comments, so that's okay too. So I just want to say this, is that make sure you still have to do the replies and you still have to post a print screen when you do those, okay? And by the way, we only have one more left. Next week, that's it, week 15. This will be the last hands-on assignment that you'll have for this semester, okay? Any questions about that? How many of you know what I'm talking about? How many of you want me to show you? Okay, so let me just go look. So in our course under hands-on, and I started this, I think, in week 13, but it's at 13, 14, and 15. I gave you the option, and I'll have 15 available before I head out on vacation tomorrow, or not tomorrow, on next week. So I'm heading out tomorrow to go to Google. That's why I think I'm on vacation, but I'm not. So the alternatives are listed at the bottom, right? So you could have done, and the thing is, if you did chapter 1 for week 13, you can't do it again for week 14. You know that, right? I needed to say it to one person, but that's it. So the rest of these you can do. You still provide your print screens, and I don't give code for these other things, so you just have to work through them, but they're not that bad. Right? But here's the thing too, is to know that you can also use any of these for late grades. If you are interested in doing this website stuff and you want to continue it, you could use those versus the My IT Lab training, okay? So again, it'll be for the week 13, 14, or 15 if you're running behind. Otherwise, you only have 1 week left. Okay, questions about that? Good? All right, so let's get into some of a little more of our class topics, but I want to be clear. So in your notes, Access Chapter 3, which you will all have due on Monday. There's a bug in one of them, and one of the other students found it. I've reported it, but I want you to know. Anybody done 3 yet? Okay, so on number 3, and by the way, I'm in it. I'm going to go to this. I'm going to go to number 6. So in your notes, number 6. Now, number 6 is really interesting because after it has you do the first step, which is not that bad, of putting in on the list price a criteria, okay? The next step is this series of stuff right here. Look at this, okay? There's several things you have to do. And then what you're basically doing here, and it's a good thing to know how to do, so that's why in a way I really want to make sure you don't get so frustrated by this. It's going to have you do what's called, and I'll go over here and do it, the builder. And it's the expression builder. And it'll have you do all these steps. And then notice at the very end, what it says is change the title to payment. It won't let you do it. So here's what you have to do. You have to start with payment : So put that in your notes when you get to number 6 on that number 3 for access. Do that first, and then the rest of it's pretty straightforward. Okay? So type in the payment and then do the rest, which by the way, and this is going to be part of my suggestions now. So this is number 6. So I've been saying this, but I'm really going to repeat this for the access stuff because again, most people have had no experience with databases, right? So my suggestion is first try. And sometimes try may or may not work, but do try watching as well. Yeah, if you do both, generally you'll get through it with not much issue. As a matter of fact, even after I had reported, coming back here, even after I had reported that this was an issue and they didn't know how to fix it, I did the watch and I saw the problem was that they just had worded it incorrectly. So my suggestion is what? Do the on the payment on that particular one, but in access in general, do the practice and the watch, okay? So if you can't get through it with practice, do the watch. Make sense? No. On the practice, the practice doesn't, that's kind of part of my issue here, is the practice didn't do a good job of telling you how to do it. It's a bit of an, and what's funny too, is on the watch, you can tell whoever did the video didn't actually edit it. They actually kept the steps where they were just doing setup. I'm like, okay, good job, you guys, okay? Sorry, my IT lab, but sometimes I love you. Not. Okay, so trying to work on my timing. Is it working? All right, so here's the deal. We have coming up, so we have, looking at the calendar here, we have the next week, the holiday week, you have the chapter 3, and then of course after that you have the chapter 4, but then on the 30th, right, is your last lab test. Sorry, no it's not. It's right here on the 7th. Yeah, so actually, that's actually the chapter final, right? So this is the last week before finals, so this is when you have the My IT Lab Access lab test, your last lab test. Which I'm not going to tell you that, but I was going to tell you something, but you don't care about it, so I'm not going to say that. But in this case, let me ask you this. How did I suggest students get through the Visual Basic who are running Mac? Anybody remember? How did VirtualBox. By the way, if you're on a Mac, you can't run Access. And in order to do the lab test, you have to run Access. So let me ask you, how do you get access if you're going to do it at home? Even if you're on a Mac or your Windows, doesn't matter. Yeah, so that's the answer I generally get if then they didn't hear it, is that students think I can get it through the campus email, and the answer is you can't. What you'll need to do, and I've already included all of you in this program, it's called the Dream Spark, so put it in your notes. If you want to have the access, which by the way, I highly recommend you get it, for the reasons that I'm about to lecture on. But if you want to do the lab test at home, like obviously you can do it here in the lab, but if you want to do it at home, you're going to need to have access. So here's, if you don't remember, it was all sent to your emails, but if you don't remember, you can go to Fresno City College, and under City College, you go to Business Division, and under Business Division, you go to Dream Spark, okay? Now, under DreamSpark, it's going to take you to a website. I thought I had it up, but I guess I didn't. Let me go there. So let me go to actually do what I'm telling you. Our website is so fun sometimes. Nobody's noticed, right, how fun it is to navigate our. Okay, so here's DreamSpark, and then this takes you to the link into the program. And if you don't remember, you can always do sign in and do a forgot password, okay? And it'll send it, but in this case you have to be in your campus email to get that. Now I downloaded this. I actually used the VirtualBox on my Mac and downloaded Access, and I got to tell you, it was a little bit of a pain in the butt. It made me do a couple of steps. So if you're planning on, plan ahead accordingly to make sure, okay, when we get here in a couple weeks, you're good to go because it's your last lab test. Okay, questions about that? So what do you need to get Access? What's the program? DreamSpark. Okay, and you find it on the campus website. Make sense? You can do know because you're getting trained on 2013, you're going to want to have the latest. As long as you have the latest one, you're okay. Okay? All right, so let's start our topic for the day. So in your notes, believe it or not, I'm going to talk about Fresno County Library. Okay? They are awesome, right? How many of you, let's show them. Anybody have a card-carrying member of the, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is so awesome, including me. Okay? By the way, I'm going to show you today, remember, for the online students, they don't remember this, but we were, and make sure you, yeah, move, there you go. So, why, by the way, oh, go back. Fresno County Library is awesome. There's so many services that they offer. And when we were all talking about how to start a business the other day, I was talking about having the right kind of information. Remember that? Having the right kind of information about the customers, the cost, all the legal stuff you have to jump over, all that is available for free at Fresno County Library, okay? So I want to show you one of the things that I found, and it's about databases, right? And that's our topic for the day. They have, as part of their free service, something that used to have to pay for to get this level of information. It's called, put it in your notes, Reference USA. And I'm going to show you a quick demo of it. So as an example, if I wanted to get a list of all the people in the Central Valley that were interested in health and fitness, which would make sense given the business that you guys know I'm kind of interested in, is I could go here to Advanced Search under here, and under Advanced Search, when it comes up, I can go to Map, and then I can also go to Lifestyle, and under Lifestyle I can choose, there it is, right there. So now that I've told it, I want all, now by the way, look how many people are in this database. How many is that? 258 million people. Yeah, so in this case, because email is a privacy issue, you actually, there's another way you have to get that. But this is the cool feature. Check this out. Now I can open up a map, and now that I've told it what I want, I can actually draw a map rather than to have to figure out all the different zip codes and all that. Is I'm going to zoom in on California, okay? And then I'm going to draw a map. Let me actually zoom in a little more. Okay, so I'm going to draw a map, starting, let's see, so Fresno is right in the middle. So as I draw my map, I'll start like maybe I'll come down a little more just so you can see. Uh-oh, there we go. So let's say here, yeah, exactly. Let's start with Merced, kind of maybe go out a little bit because I want to get some people that might live in those areas. Go down to Bakersfield, go up to the mountains. So, by the way, the mountain community is really into health and fitness if you don't know. And they are. Uh-oh. Missed it. Try it again. Here, here, and again, you can play with your selection here, and then one more here. So once I select that area, that's what's it's gonna query. This is a term you're gonna, yeah, this is really, really powerful. So once I hit done, right, and then I say go ahead and do my view my, and by the way, notice what already happened. Yeah, it shows me how many people are in my query results, right? And this is a really powerful thing. So I didn't have to go through and do a lot of work trying to figure out zip codes, trying to do all that stuff. So now I can actually view the results of what I asked for. Okay? By the way, how powerful is something like that? Very powerful. And again, free. And it does say their names.
And then all their contact information?
Well, here's what it is. Here's what it is. It's that they build this, I believe, also off of magazine subscriptions. So if you how they figured out you were into health and fitness is you subscribe to a magazine. Yeah. Hold on. Look. Yeah. And I searched for myself. So you can. Yes, I did. And I was not surprised what they knew about me because I was like, oh, wow. But there was that moment, right? There was that moment of, I'm not sure I like this. So there's two sides to this story. One is that as a person trying to develop a business, this is really helpful to have. But as a person that might be listed, you might go, wow, isn't that an exposure, right? But you have to remember, oftentimes when you subscribe to things, right, you're opting in to third party and other things that do expose you that way. So just there's two sides of it. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about, in your notes, databases, right? So databases, and that's really my topic for the day. Oh, there's something else I want to do on Fresno County Library before I move off of it. There's another thing that I use more than this, okay, right here. So how many of you have ever heard of a website called lynda.com? Lynda.com is one of the top training websites in the country. So, and I use it for my own personal improvement and learning things. And now I'm teaching an advanced class to where those students have 4 parts of that class. And one of them is they watch lectures on lynda.com. And if you were to go out and try to sign up for a lynda.com account, here's how much it costs you. So if you were to do a regular subscription, it's $25 a month. A premium is $37. So another reason to get a library card, it's free. Just by having that library card, you can get access to this huge amount of training information, professional-based stuff, okay? So it's another great reason. There's a lot of other reasons. Fresno County Library is also opening up a new branch downtown, and one of the things they're going to have is a maker space. Have you all heard of a maker space? Yeah, so maker spaces are awesome because it allows you to go in and actually build stuff, not just research stuff. They're going to have a 3D printer that anyone can use in the public. These are awesome services that most people don't even realize are there, okay? So again, I'm plugging Fresno County Library because I think they do some stuff that, and the only reason I know, I was in a lecture on Sunday and they were there and I'm like, oh my God, I have to tell my students about this. So you interested at all in getting a card? Yeah, go get one. It's free to get a card. Yeah, free. So this is the topic that we're really talking about today is databases. And you all are getting it through the My IT Lab experiences, right? But this is the definition as we look at it. So the key thing about a database is it's organized. I showed this when you talk about when you're entering information into Excel. That's not really organized. You can put it in however you want. You can label it however you want, which in a sense is a good thing. But when you want organized and structured data, you have to have more rules for the way you put things together. So we have queries, we have first tables, queries, right, reports and views and other objects. And really it's about, we have to model the real world. So I'm about to show you, and when we talk about databases, here's the other thing, is there's many different jobs related to databases. There's not just one. Like if you're working for a company, right, you would be using a database to search, to give them possibly information. You might be using a database to update their information. You may be, but databases are everywhere. Like, where do you think your personal information, can you think of a database where your personal information is probably stored? This laptop, yeah. Facebook for sure, right? We've talked about how much Facebook knows about you. Facebook, Google, all those folks could not exist without databases because they have to have a way to store that. So the other thing is when you're searching Google, right? So when I go to Google and I search for, well, if I can spell Google, okay, take a breath, it's okay. Let's say I'm searching for kittens, right? I don't want one. But in that case, did it actually search the entire web? No. No.
It searched for less than a second.
Well, it exactly could, as good as Google is, can it search the entire web in a second? No. What is it searching? Huh? Not my preferences. it has a database that it indexes all the websites that it searches against to give you a result. There's no way, as good as they are, they could have, in that quickly, given me that many results if they were actually going out to search the web. They do what they call spidering, where they go out and search sites and people submit sites, right? So when you're searching Google, you're really doing a query. So make sure that goes in your notes, because I'm going to talk about queries today and the idea of a query. And a query is just a question of the database, okay? So this concept of a database, you're getting through the My IT Lab, but I want to actually take it a bit further, okay? And we just talked about some of the areas. Let's just be even more clear. Where else is your information stored about you? Who else kind of has information? The government, absolutely. Federal, state, city, right? Based on who you are and what you've done. How about your bank? Yeah. How about Fresno City? Doctor's offices, right? I mean, your data is, and by the way, do you know it's the responsibility of because you ever heard this, when people get their systems hacked and your private information is exposed? That's because their systems weren't set up to make sure that people couldn't get in. And by the way, is healthcare got a different level of security than other people? Yes. Yeah, it's called HIPAA. HIPAA requires anybody that does health services to have even a higher level of security. Yeah, so I mean, this idea of how many places, here's the deal. We talk about a lot of things in technology, but databases are so pervasive, but people don't think about it. They don't realize how important it is to understand how they're done, how they're manipulated, all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to walk you through an example, because one of my jobs is I was a database developer. Small businesses would come to me and go, hey, we want to do this. And I'd have to interview them and say, okay, based on what you want to do, I'm going to create a database to help you do it. But what you have to do is you have to start at the end. Tell me what you want to know, and then I'll help you create a database to do it. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example today. I'm actually going to give you an example of a very simplified database design. So in your notes, database design. And by the way, if we were talking about pay levels, this is kind of one of the highest pay levels if you know how to do database design. This is a very simple example, so don't take this as a sophisticated example. So in this case, and by the way, the reason you want to pay attention, guess what you're going to do for week 16? Yeah, you're going to do this, okay? For something you want, I'm going to walk you through what it looks like. So in this example, I have a video rental store, which, by the way, these days, video rental store still a viable business? No. Who's Redbox? Netflix. What's the new term with Netflix? Something and chill? Just seeing how many of you knew that term. You all know? You try to act all innocent, right? Okay, bring it here. All right. So here, what this is, and do me a favor, do this one right here so they can see both. Uh-oh. That one. I didn't break it. So move between me and that one. So in this case, and this is what I want you to know, when you're building databases, you have to think about entities, okay? And entities are a group of related pieces of information. So we have 3 entities here. The first entity is customers, and I'm going to jump over to the third entity is movies, and then the center one is rentals, okay? So 3 entities, which really they're 3 tables. And you know that term from doing any of the My IT Lab stuff. You've been introduced to tables and how they're set up and designing them and managing them. So in this case, we have 3 tables, one that houses our customer data, one that houses our movie data, and the one in the middle, what we call our transaction table, our rentals, okay? So let me just kind of walk you through this. So and by the way, this is a really simple example, because if you were really tracking customers, would you want to know more than just their first name? Yeah, what else would you want to know about these customers? Last name? Their contact information. Address? What? Yeah, what they're interested in, right? So again, this is a very simplified example. So customer, CID, you remember this term, a primary key? Primary keys are so you can uniquely identify data within a database. Because when you're doing with something like Access or Excel, You don't, that's not even a beginning of a consideration because, and I'm going to tell you about this in a minute, something called relationships, okay? So let's just walk through. CID, customer ID. C first is their name. I'm going to skip over the rentals for a second. So over here, MID, movie ID, and M movie is the name, okay? So what is in the middle is really our transaction table, right? So this is how it works. Let's just say I opened up business. My first customer was who?
Mini.
Very nice. So you looked at MID 5. You looked over here and said Mini. Why would I have not put Mini in my transaction table?
It's quicker. It's a quicker number.
Exactly, it's quicker, right? Because if I put her, and by the way, think of all those fields it would have been for my customer, I would have had to include all of them in my transaction table. So you remove redundancy, increase efficiency by laying it out like this. Are you with me? Are you guys with me? Okay. So my first customer was Minnie. She rented American Beauty. Very good. Next customer is Tom. But in this case, let's just kind of walk through this. What else would have wanted to know about those transactions that I'm not showing here? How many, well, the transaction per person, how they paid for it, was it returned, yes or no, what was the date, how much was the cost, right? Yeah. These are all things that would have been in the transaction table. Good? Yeah. Okay, so you already started doing it, but let's actually answer, because you're going to do this for your own, is some basic queries. Who rented Die Hard? Let's see who can get it first.
Tom and John.
So how'd you do it? Just walk us through it. One.
Who rented Die Hard, and I looked over at the customer.
Yeah, so right here, right? Tom and John.
But you can still go down.
That's right, exactly. So by the way, let's just step back for a second. We have, because databases, put this in your notes, are made up of tables. Databases are made up of tables. Tables are made up of fields. And in this case, the field, the customer ID, the C first. And then fields, right, are made up of, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Databases are made up of, what did I say? Tables. Tables are made up of records. Should be records. And then records are made up of fields. Because in this case, how many customer records do I have? 6. Very nice. So databases are made up of tables. Tables are made up of records. And that's where I messed you guys up, sorry. And records are made up of fields. Okay? So let's do another one. Who rented American Beauty? Minnie and Minnie, right? Minnie did it twice. Right, so yeah, and that's where you could start asking, why would Minnie have rented it twice? Maybe it was overdue, she liked it again, it was so good, she wanted to watch it, whatever, right? Whatever it is, the reason. Exactly. How many videos did Tom rent?
2 videos.
2. Yeah, exactly, go back. Okay, so these are really called what? Queries. Okay? Queries are questions of the database. Now, could we do something like this in Excel?
Yes.
No. Not, and the reason is Excel does not do relationships. And so in your notes, relationships. This is Access and most databases, although this is starting to change in the larger context of what's happening in the world. But today, most of the stuff that consumers are using is a relational database. And here's how we talk about it. And I think once I do it, maybe you'll get more of a sense of it. One customer, you with me? One customer can have many rentals, which makes sense, right? On one customer, I can rent many times. So there's a relationship between the customer table and the rental table, and it's called one to many. Okay, one to many. And you're going to see that term again when you do more of the My IT Lab stuff. So let me turn over here. So one movie can be rented many times. So how would I say that? The relationship between the movie? Yeah. Well, still one to many. Okay? One movie can be rented many times. Without those relationships, this would not work. And something like Excel is not sophisticated enough to handle that. That way, when I query on a customer or on a transaction, I can then get the related data from these other tables. Did I lose anybody there? Yeah? So let me say it again. Because of these relations, and by the way, you're going to see this in the My IT lab when it has you go in and do queries, and you'll notice when you bring in tables, they'll have a connector between them. That's a relationship. And when you have that relationship, then you can query across the tables to get related information. So if I'm asking about Minnie, because there's a relationship between her and the rentals, I can know a lot about Minnie's rental habits. Help? Okay. So if you start to get this, you start to understand the basics of database design. Okay? So here's what you're going to do for week 16. All right? And I'll just bring this up so you can see it. So for week 16, and by the way, I'm going to have, because it's a holiday as well, I will not lecture next week, and I'm going to have a couple of videos I'm looking for on social media. Because could social media happen without a database? No way. And by the way, big impacts of social media, and two, on the Paris attacks. Has anybody paid attention to any of the stuff?
The way I found out about the
Yeah, oftentimes the way we find out about stuff now is social media. Some of us don't watch the news anymore, right? Not only that, who else was using social media? The terrorists themselves. They were using, anybody heard of this? A program called Telegram. And the reason they were using it, it was encrypted so nobody else could see their communication. So there definitely is impacts all over the...
I know out there too, there's a technological war going against that Anonymous.
Oh yeah, Anonymous is going after now. I mean, it's so... Just to watch it is also disturbing, but also kind of interesting. It's like so much happening. But anyway, back to the topic. Anyway, this is week 16. So what you're going to do, and I'm going to give you a link so that you can actually bring up a template that I've created for you. So this would be your database, okay? Here's your entity/tables, right? And I want 3 of them. So I'm actually going to walk,
Just the title is 14, so it's throwing me off.
Oh yeah, thank you. Sorry, that should have been. Let's just do it right now. 16. Thank you. Okay. I love Google Docs, by the way. By the way, again, Google Docs could not happen without a database, because even though these are docs, they're stored in a database. Yeah, I could go on and on. Okay. Hopefully you get the sense about how important it is for you to know about databases, because all your employers, I guarantee you, will be delighted that you have some kind of database experience. So let's say, here's your example. What I want you to fill out is first come up with your topic, okay? So I'm going to do one for bull riding, because I'm into that. No, I'm not, but it sounded fun to me, okay? So what are the 3 entities I would probably want to keep track of in bull riding? Riders, bulls.
Venues, or times their last times.
Good. So you're already thinking in these ways. So here's where I would do cowboys, because cowgirls don't typically bull ride, although God knows these days they could do anything, right? Cowboys, bulls, and rides. Make sense? Yeah. So this would be, what did I say? Cowboys. Or cowgirls, right? This would be, let's go over here. This would be bulls. I'm not going to capitalize it. Yeah, very nice. The middle, say it again. Yeah, the one in the middle is the many, right? The many. Yeah. One to many. And it's generally called a transaction table. So in this case, the one in the middle for me is called rides. Make sense? So what would this field be called? Cowboys, it'd be called CID. And this would be C name. Why are we using C there? Yeah, because it notates, it's a canonical reference, and we use that term a lot in computers. It could be customers if customers was the name of my entity. But let's say, I'm going to go ahead and do Jill here, okay? And let's do Bob. Oh, anybody want to be in my tour? So, true, you can be in there. Okay. So you get it, right? So over here, let's do bull. So again, what's this? What's this? BID. And then B name, right? Because bulls have names like, what's a bull name? Off with you, right? Okay, something like that. Bulls have really creative names, right? Huh? Fu Manchu, right? Cha-ching, whatever. Okay. So now our transaction table. What's our field for here? Our ID. Now, notice in my example, how is this template different? Anybody notice? I added 2 more fields, and because I want you to think more of what you'd want to know in that transaction. But the first 2 fields were what? Because in order to create the relationships, you have to have very nice CID and very nice. You got this. This will be easy. So now, what are 2 other fields I might want to know? Time would be important, right? And by the way, wouldn't I do R, T, I to be consistent, right? What else would I do? How much? Injury could be. Do they have time of day? Could be. Could be. Could be which round, right? Could be venue. Could be do they have health insurance? Do they have death benefits? Who has them? I mean, we could go on and on and on. Yeah, we could. Well, actually, you'd have that over here maybe, right? Under the bull.
Well, we have that too under the BID as well.
The other thing might be here, right? Our prize, right? Did they win a prize or not? So then you would go.
You already like pass or fail, did you, right?
Yeah, pass or fail, did you get bucked off? Which, by the way, how many know? How many seconds do you have to stay on?
8 seconds.
8 seconds. You know the famous movie 8 Seconds?
Heard of it.
Yeah? I went to high school with that guy. Lane Frost, who was a champ. I went to high school, huh?
No way.
Yeah. 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 Danced with him at prom one time. No. So what? Weird, I know. Okay. Sorry, off topic. Let's go back. So let's fill out a record, right? Let's go with let's do Lane's the man, right? We'll just do something like that. Anybody else? Sarah, you want to be on my list? Okay, so let's fill out a transaction. So let's say true is my first writer. True, so how would I fill this out? 2?
1.
Yeah, I choose a bull, so I do 1. Maybe 0.06, right? Sorry, seconds, right?
He fell right out of the gate.
And let's say 0, right? So we could do something like that. So no, he fell off, so, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do. You're going to fill out. By the way, anybody have a topic they already know they might want to do, I could just give you? How about, huh? How about game collections?
Yeah, you can do video games too.
Yeah,
All
what?
those games that came out right now.
Exactly. So how about movies? Movies would be a good one.
You could do Thanksgiving, who buys turkey.
You could do, right. There's all kinds of things you could come up with. You just have to break it into how many entities?
4.
3 entities, right? And 2 main entities and a transaction, a linking table. So again, this is just the exercise of getting you thinking about this database concept. Because again, if you like this kind of stuff, man, go for it. Look at it, because we offer some classes. There are other programs, because this kind of skill base is really, really in demand. Okay? All right, so here's what you're going to do then. So for week 16, and I'll have some other videos that you'll watch for week 16. I've already talked about this. And by the way, I'm going to give you, this will be a little different. I'm going to give you a link to, let me see if I can do it. So when you click on the link, it's going to make a copy. I figured out how to do this. It's a cool thing, and I'll clean out the database before I give it to you. But I can give you a copy so that when you pull up the link, it automatically creates a copy in your Google Doc, which is awesome. I found this out recently. So now why am I using Firefox? Because this is how it's going to look to you. So when you click on my link, it's going to say, hey, you want to make a copy of that? And you're going to go, yeah, I want to make a copy of that, because then you're going to fill it out for yourself, right? Now, notice too, this is pretty wide, and actually this is what we call landscape. How many know what landscape means? Landscape. Did I really just say landscape? I really did just say landscape. So could you include this document in your classwork? You could, but it'll be scrunched up, so if you want to externally link, you can, right? You can do it however you want to do it, but you will link or include that in your doc. Okay? And again, I'll have a few other videos for you to watch about social media. I'm looking for one right now that really talks about, because I've heard a couple of reports about the whole Paris and social media connections, and I want to have you guys look at that. Okay. Oh, and somebody told me something an online student told me something they really liked that I want to do. But do you have any questions before we go? Negative? Okay, show the students. Everybody wave. They said they really love it. And it was, as a matter of fact, it was Sarah who said it the other day, because I had like 4 students come in and do the Visual Basic project in the lab yesterday, and it was so fun to have them in here. So it was fun to meet the online students. All right, bye you guys, and we'll see you in week 17, our last lecture, because I won't lecture for next week.